Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast with me, Alex. I am so excited for today's episode. You will have seen from the title, we have the most amazing guest on today. We have Em, who helps fearless founders unleash their X factor. They sign clients and they are unapologetically becoming the go to gal when they work with Em. Em has transformed my perspective of the industry that we're in. Um, from the time that I was like a wishful thinker, hoping and praying that I was going to get to be Em's client, to actually investing in myself and doing the thing. And now being in Em's space, witnessing firsthand the power and the most incredible perspectives Em holds of this whole industry and how we can all become fearless founders ourselves. I'm so excited to welcome this incredible woman, Emily Heazlewood, aka Emform.
Hi. Yay. Hi.
Welcome to Alex Beyond Thoughts. How are you today?
I'm so good. It's early morning. Well, I dare say it's not early morning for me, but it's the morning for me. So I have basically just gotten up, done my morning routine, and I'm here. So I'm like, so actually just, this is the best day ever.
I love that. I love that. And I'm so excited you're here
Mm.
on the podcast. I'm going to keep saying it again and again. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited you're here. um, let's just dive straight in. I feel like I want to get everything you want to give to the listeners. So let's dive straight
Mm.
in to my first question, which is please tell us all about the process between you in your graphic designer phase or even earlier, all the way up to you becoming the CEO of this absolute empire, which is Emform. Give us all the juice, please.
How much time do we actually have, guys? No, I will try and keep this short but sweet. I think that the biggest thing for me is I was thinking about this actually the other day. I like have this reputation with my family that my name is Emily Lots of Jobs, and I think that really does just like start off our story with this, because I think the biggest thing I literally tried what feels like every single industry under the sun, and I've tried every single job and every single thing that I feel like would really light me up inside. And I think like from the very early days of like just me being a young like teenage girl, I've always done something, whether it be like, I remember my sister and I went on eBay and we bought a spray tan tent and like a spray tan machine, and we started spray tanning each other. And then I was like, hang on a minute, like this could be profitable. So I was like, okay, cool, let's like actually start charging. And so I charged $20 for my friends and for anyone at my school or any of the other schools that like I was around. So I charged $20 for formals and for all of the things. And that was kind of like my introduction into like business and even just like a career of like, oh, what kind of like is this? I can get paid for doing something that I actually like really love. So I think that was like the
Mm,
biggest start for me. That was like, wow, like this is so fun for me when I was like spray tanning women. And like it's interesting because every single thing that I have done has actually had this undertone of helping women feel more confident, be more empowered, and like feel really powerful. And it's super interesting.
mm,
Like, even if I think about spray tanning, like 16, 17
yeah.
year olds, it was always this feeling of like, this just feels so good. People get out of the like spray tan tent and it was like, oh my God, I love it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Which was really cool. It was such a good feeling. So this is where it kind of like all started. And then from there, obviously, like I dabbled in beauty a little bit. I became a makeup artist. And did makeup artistry for a couple of years. And then
Oh, wow.
basically, in between, I told you I'm Emily Lots of Jobs. In between that, I started at uni. So I started with my first like degree that I started studying was
Mhm.
public relations. And then from there, it moved into communications, like a Bachelor of Communications. And then from there, it moved into marketing and graphic design. And this is where I was like, oh, okay, I'm loving what I'm doing in the design space. And I like really was just like, again, maybe I could get paid to do something really that literally lights me up inside. It's like I would see other businesses and, I'm such a I'm such a chatty girl that like I would go into like a shop and like a really cute boutique store, and I'm like, oh my god, hi, and like start talking to the owner, and then all of a sudden I'm like walking out of there and I'm like got their like about to design their website, I'm designing their new logos, like all of those things. And so it really, really happened super naturally for me in terms of like starting this design agency. And when I say design agency, it was me and me, like that was it.
Yeah.
But realistically, like I'd started an agency. And basically from there, I really, really loved it, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled completely. And I was in Mexico and I was like on a family trip. And from there, I was just like, I think I'd started working as a receptionist at a gym. And I was like, oh, I think I think I'd really like to study fitness. And I was just talking to like my partner and my family. And I was like, I remember this specific time I was literally like sitting in Mexico, drinking a Corona, just like looking out at the beach. And I'm just like, I think I want to do this. Like I really do. So I started looking like on this dodgy Wi-Fi, where I could study, what I could do, how I could do it, whatever. And like basically signed up then and there to become like a Cert 3 and 4 fitness instructor, so personal trainer. And yeah, from there, I guess the rest is kind of history for a couple of years. And I think that the biggest thing for me that I really learnt was like the dedication that I have to whatever I put myself into. And I think the biggest thing I drove, so every week for 3 or 4 months, I drove 2.5 hours down, did my course for 2 days, drove 2.5 hours back every single week, for 4 months. And I was just like every single day, like every single Thursday, I think it was a Wednesday night, I'd go down. So I would work all the way up until like 8 p.m. at night. I would drive 2.5 hours, sleep, wake up, go do this course for 2 days, and then go home, do the same thing. Like it was a weekend, and I was like 19 at the time. So I was like partying with my friends and having so much fun, and then like I would have to do it all again. But I was like, this was just like exactly what I wanted to do at the time. And from there, literally, I founded my first business in the fitness industry, which was called the Sweat Club. And that was like the rest was kind of history for a couple of years. So basically 4 years, I was a PT. I had 60 clients a week, was working like 70 plus hours. There was just a lot going on in my life. And it was just like head down, bum up for, those 4 years. It was just like go, go, go. And realistically, like now knowing the work that I did, there was just so much that I was like chasing, right? I was just like chasing, and I loved it. Like that was the thing. I just loved the feeling that I got, the fulfillment, the passion that I had for helping women. And again, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like comes back into like even from makeup artistry, spray tanning, like fitness. It's like I've always had that undertone of just like, I want to help women. I want to make women feel empowered. This is just like, and I know I can do that. Like I just knew that there was something about even me as a PT, I was just like, I know that there is something so much more that I really, really want to just like, I know that there's more that I can do to help women feel their best and do their best and live their best life. And, I think 5 years ago in the fitness industry, it's now been 7 years now, but like, I think even 7 years ago, the conversations that I was having with women were very different to the conversations that I would have with women now. But there still was the same undertone, that women really want to feel powerful and they want to feel really, really good inside themselves. And I think that was just like such a beautiful thing for me to be able to do every single day, like day in, day out for 6 years. So yeah, from there, basically, I opened up my own studio. And it was so beautiful and it was amazing. And I had the studio for a year. And in that year, I started to work in the online industry as an online mindset coach. And basically from there, literally, that is just where I was like, okay, all guns are blazing. I'm going for this. And I became a mindset coach and I shut down my studio. And in between that time, I also became a business coach, just helping online service providers really just like actually step it up. I'm like, I knew what it took to kind of like build a business. And I also have so much insight in that like branding, marketing kind of aspect that I was like, I've got to use it all. And so now it's like literally a beautiful mesh between mindset, business, branding, and like now I get to do this every single day. And it just feels like I just feel so, so, so lucky to be able to do this every single day.
That's amazing. It's a real
In a
journey as
nutshell.
well. And like, I love the fact that it's a kind of try everything, Emily, lots of jobs. You have to like hit a couple nails on the head before you find the thing that is for you right now. And
Mm.
yeah, there's so much there to unpack, and I want to unpack all of it. But I actually don't know if you know this. I've been following you since I think before you got the studio.
Oh my God, I do not know that.
That's when I started following you. And I can't. I was just trying to think then for a second. When did I exactly start following you? Like, how did I find you? And I can't remember, but I remember the studio days, and I remember like when you first got it and you were like launching the studio and everything. And obviously, I'm in the UK, so like I wasn't really ever going to join the studio in person. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, that's when I first started following you. Just hearing you talk about it, then I'm like, I remember the studio. um,
Wow. Oh my
and since
gosh,
then,
the
all like
journey we've been on.
I know. And so even since then, so how many years ago was this now?
So this would have been nearly 2 years. Sorry, like 18 months ish.
Hmm. Yeah. So it's taken what, probably now 16 months, 15 months, and I'm only
Mm,
just in your world, like in
mm.
proximity to your world. Oh, that's so cool. That's so
It is
cool.
so cool. And do you know what's interesting is like, I think as well, this is like, for anyone out there that is listening, this is like such a good piece of evidence to support the fact that people are watching you and like people are
Mm,
invested in you and your journey and your natural evolution of life and business and career and whatever it actually is. But I think that oftentimes we tell ourselves like we need to be over here. And like I would have, 2 years ago, Alex, like I would have been like, I want to be here. Like that's literally what I would have been saying to myself. I like would have said to myself, I need to be here, or like keep moving, keep moving. And like while that's
yeah.
great, it's also like such a beautiful reminder that like there are people out there watching and listening to you that aren't aren't in your world now. But that's
Hmm.
not to say that they're not going to be in your world in 2 years' time. But
Yeah.
I think we sometimes get so short sighted where it's like, well, why aren't people in my world now?
Yeah. Yeah. And in whatever place, like you could be a coach, you could be a nail tech, you could be like in any kind of place,
Oh,
and you'll still be thinking, no one's watching, no one's paying attention, no one wants to buy into my product or help me with my
mm.
career or whatever it is. And actually, people are watching, people are taking notes, even if they're not consciously doing it, they're taking notes and they're still aware of you.
Exactly. I always think that this certainly isn't the first time. Like I actually have a lot of I like always ask any kind of new client, like, where'd you come from? How'd you find me? If I like haven't ever met them before. And often I did a poll. I remember I did like an Instagram poll a long time ago, like a while ago. But I literally was like, how long did it take you to invest into me? And like the year plus mark was like a very big big thing like that was like
Mm.
really quite high on the poll votes. And like it was so interesting because I was like, yeah, like this makes sense. And so it's like these tiny little micro moments that we choose to show up as, and we choose to show up every single day. It actually is like compounding this time next year potentially for you. But again, so often we kind of find ourselves being a bit impatient and just being like,
Yeah.
oh, but I want it now. And it's like, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, as well with like that piece around your journey keeps revolving back to helping women and helping in whatever way possible for you to come back there and
Mm,
support them in whatever way it is, whether that's supporting girls to feel confident when they're spray tanning for their prom,
mm.
or whether that's makeup artistry, or like graphic designing, jumping into someone's store and being like, hey, your store's great, I love your clothes, let me help you out. Yeah, it's really inspiring, I think, as well, for a lot of people that don't really know what that thing is yet. just keep going with what the core driver is for you. And if that's helping women, or if that's helping children, or like whatever the core driver is, in whatever iteration you can find it in that brings you joy right now, keep going with that. Because every time you add these layers, you're going to find something a little bit more that leads you to the path where you are now the CEO of Emform, helping probably hundreds or thousands of women at some point, if not already, to become fearless founders, to become unapologetically themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to sign clients and make fucking money.
Yeah, yeah. And that's such a good way of putting it. But I think as well, when it comes to like I used to have such shame around the fact that I was Emily Lots of Jobs, which is so interesting now looking back, because I'm like, I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for the fact that I tried new things and I didn't like it, or I flopped, or like something did, something failed, whatever it is. And I just kept trying and like kept being okay with like, again, being this like Emily Lots of Jobs. And again, we like joke about it now, but it like used to be such a pain point for me, being the
Mm,
one that like never could settle down. And I was like 20 or like, 25. Like I even found myself like in a new era or like a new level of like, okay, this is gonna have to be it, Emily. Like this is it. And it's like,
yeah.
isn't this interesting? Now I'm like, I don't know. I no doubt I'm gonna have this business over here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like free for all. But for a really long time, I held shame around the fact that I was chopping and changing and going over here and then trying
Yeah.
this new thing and enrolling in this certificate. And I've got this course. And I think that that is actually really, really common for anyone that's starting a business or anyone that's like curious, whether you're in a career and you're just like, I don't know, I want to kind of change my career. Or like, I feel like there's such a societal standard that we are shifting and we are changing. But I do believe that there's this societal standard. I don't know if you
Mm,
feel this, Alex, but like there's this standard that we're like, we have to settle down, we have to knuckle down, like choose one thing and one thing only.
yeah.
And like, you go to uni, you do the thing and you come back and you've got the job now and like move on with your life. It's like that has just never, ever, ever worked for me. And it just never will. And so now surrendering to the fact that I'm like, cool, I don't know what's to come. And I'll probably do like there'll probably be some evolution. And it's
Mm,
taken me a long time to get there. But for anyone that does feel like shameful or feeling like they need to have their life sorted out by, 20 something, you just don't.
yeah.
You just don't.
Mm, yeah. And like, I do like to bring it back to sort of like a generational thing sometimes, because it helps for a lot of people that don't really know the ins and outs of the work we do to kind of relate it to something. So, in like a generational sense, the generation above me that raised me, my parents and things like that, it was stability and safety over everything. Like nothing
Mhm.
else mattered as long as you were stable and you were safe. Everything else came secondary to that. So going to uni, getting the job and staying in that job for as long as possible, not doing anything to rock the boat, just keeping your linear line, keep your head down, stay safe, stay stable, have the joys and the little things with your family and stuff that you would like. And that is a great life. And you shouldn't really
Mhm.
ask for more, because what else do you need essentially? And that's just the kind of environment that we were raised in. So of course we were taking on these things as like, no, I can't have lots of jobs. No, I can't create instability or um, perceived unsafety and things like this, because that goes completely against what they were raised as and what they thought was the correct way. And not saying it's the wrong way, but
Mm,
maybe it's a different way for you, like it is for me. And
mm.
I can't exist in that place where we stay in this one line all the way until the end. Like that's just not me. I'm zigzagging, I'm jumping out the line, I'm jumping in a different one, jumping levels, like that is me all over.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is like literally why I work with so many amazing women, because they are those type of rule breakers, if you will, right? Like breaking the
Mm,
rules that like maybe have been placed onto us, again, generationally or whatever it may have been, but or societally, like whoever. But I think that I've never been one to kind of like color in the lines. And I know that there's so many people out there that just simply need that permission to just like, honestly, you just don't need to color in the lines and you shouldn't. Like, you're
yeah.
allowed to like go off on a tangent and squiggle over there. So I think that, yeah, it's definitely incredible to really witness like our generation really starting to kind of go for that, and like really
Mhm.
allowing themselves to, and I say rule breaker, which I know some people, you know, have this feeling like, oh my God, like that actually is hard for anyone to, or like some people to hold. But it is that, like, you know, you just being like, nah, I actually want more, is breaking the rules, really. Cause it's like, again, we may have been told to just be like grateful for what you get.
Mm. Yeah. And being grateful for what you get or what you're given is just not the vibe. It's not what we really want to sit in that energy, because it's it's kind of a draining place to be, like trying to just be grateful for what's given to you and for whatever is the hand me downs of this, that, and the other. And you're just like, oh, but I feel like there's more. I feel the potential. I feel like I'm supposed to break through here somewhere, but there's all these barriers and people telling me no, and I'm taking on advice from people that I don't really think I should be taking advice from, but I don't really know where else to go. And like, I know specifically for me and like in the area I live in and things like that, going against what has been set for you is kind of taboo. And it's like, we don't do that around here. You stay in the box, you
Mm-hmm.
stay in the town, you stay in this little area, you have your kids, you do whatever, you get married, and you don't really move outside. Because if you move outside, you're then an outsider. And being an
Mm,
outsider is very unsafe. We shouldn't do that. So I can feel like for a lot of other people, they'll probably feel that same need to actually step outside the box, because there has to be more than the prescribed amount of joy, the prescribed amount of what you can and can't have, because
mm,
we're just explorative and we're curious and we want to know. So if you're someone that colors outside the lines like me and Em, just see, take a leap, try something different. And
mhm.
obviously, if you don't like it, find another job. Become like Emily, lots of jobs. Become like me, who's jumping in different lines, and just find out what's actually for you, because it's the greatest gift I think you can give yourself when you actually find something that lights you up in the way that you would drive 2 hours in order to
Mm,
go study for your PT course. Like at that point, it was lighting you up. You were very happy to sacrifice half your week to be able to go do that. Like, if
totally.
you can find something to light you up in that way, I think don't give in and just keep going.
Yeah, totally. And I also think as well, like a lot of the time we can look at certain things and be like, that was such a waste of time. You know, like, oh, why did I do that? That was such a waste of time.
Mm,
And, you know, whatever it might have been, I invested this amount of money, I invested this amount of time, I put this much energy into X. And it's so like we can get in that mindset of like, oh, fuck, that was such a waste of time.
yeah.
But it's always, I like try to extract any lesson. If I ever, you know, I don't ever allow myself to think like that, but I used to have that feeling of just like, oh, this is such a waste of time. And I think
Mm,
that the biggest thing is that you extract the lessons that you've learned from those moments of just like really, really knowing that this was all, it's like hindsight is such a bitch, but it's such a blessing at the same time, because in hindsight, we look back
mm,
and we're like, that was meant to happen. Yes, of course, like it's all making sense now. But in the moment of like something going wrong, or like you not knowing what you want to do, or like trying this career and it flopping, or like you not loving it, or whatever it might have been, it's like this is where it's like all of it makes sense and all of it will make sense. So like continuing to hold that mindset rather than having this like, oh, that was such a waste of time. Why did I waste my energy, time, money,
mm,
etc. on that? And like really flipping that mindset to just like really look at it from like, this is teaching me something and what am I learning from this? Whether you can
yeah.
see it in the moment or whether you see it in future, it will all make sense for you.
Yeah. I'd love to know, if you know off the top of your head, like what was your biggest blessing and a curse moment, whether that's like in your businesses or in another area. Like what was your, this is kind of teetering on the edge here. I don't know whether to be grateful or kind of stomp my feet.
I know there's like one defining moment I remember is I got a like legal letter. I got a cease and desist for my previous company, and that was my personal training company, which if for anyone who doesn't know what a cease and desist mean, it's essentially like you don't have the trademark to be able to continue this. We have the trademark, etc., from another company, and so essentially you must cease trade for whatever your business name is. So you must rebrand or change your name or close down that company. So I got that, and
Mm.
this was at a time when like really, really like I can look at my personal, like I was still working 60 hours, 60 clients a week, 70 hours plus. Like for me, it was like that was so I was in this comfortable stage and this comfortable place of just like, this is amazing. Like I was reaping so many rewards in so many different ways. And I really could recognize that this was like, there was just this moment when I opened this letter and I was just like, okay, like I literally just took a deep breath in, and I there was months of just like back and forth, but I remember the first thing I thought of when I opened this letter was I was like, this is actually a really good thing. And it's interesting because like, how did I know? Like I had no
Mm.
idea. My company was my life. That was like my identity, like that was
Yeah.
seriously everything to me. So when I was like, oh my God, what am I going to be known as? Who am I going to be? All of the things, I I just remember specifically, yeah, really thinking about the fact that like this is just gonna like, no, this is good. This is good. Like change is good. And throughout the couple of months where I was like back and forth, like with lawyers and all of the things, and just like really, I really wanted to, I was just like, I didn't know what was to come for me. And
Mm.
was racking my brain so much about like what's going to be a really cool name, and like what am I going to be identified with now, and like there was just so much
Mm.
towards that. But I remember these moments of like up down up down, like I was like, okay, cool, this is such a good feeling and like such a good thing. And I also remember the really down moments of just like scared, fear, like all of the things that I was like, oh my God, one of my biggest fears was that just like no one's going to want to come over. Like no one's going to want to
Mm.
come with me, like that was just like one of the biggest fears. So that was like a really defining moment for me. That was like such a blessing. But at the
Mm.
same time, I there were many a times throughout that period that I was just like, oh my God, like literally the world is crumbling around me. And,
Yeah.
yeah, now looking back, of course, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was talking to a girlfriend about this the other day because she was like, imagine if you were still called the Sweat Club, which it wouldn't have made sense for me being in the position that I'm in right now. I would have had to
Yeah.
rebrand anyway. I would have had to change my business anyway. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, doesn't this all make sense now? But again, during that
Mm.
period, I was a personal trainer. I knew that there was going to be more, which is exactly why I rebranded to Emform. I was like, this actually makes sense. And yeah, now again, I'm like, woohoo, like this is so cool. But yeah, then in the moment, it was just like there were parts of just like the world crumbling.
Mm. I can only imagine, because imagining myself having that, I could also, in an alternate world, imagine myself like crumbling to the floor, like, what do I do now? And just
Yeah.
having this like full spiral of like, my identity has been challenged, my concepts of self have been challenged, because I know in the very earliest stages of my business, they were like one and the same. My identity and my business identity were like latched. My concepts of self were like intermingled, probably even still a bit now, but like that would have, yeah, I would have fell to the ground crying out.
Yeah. And also like legal letters are scary, like
Yeah.
lawyers and like, like conversations with lawyers. Like I was on the phone to lawyers and they were going back and forth, and like it was
Mm.
it was scary. I was like, I had no idea about anything. And
Yeah.
now again, like biggest blessing is I now have a trademark for my own company, and I'm like, fuck yeah, like these are the lessons that I learned and
Mm.
had to learn. And now it's like, this can't change now. Like I own the trademark to my own company. So it's like perfect. It's just like I learned something so quickly that like any company or business that I continue like to open or run or whatever will be trademarked. And so it's really quite interesting because we play down like our silly little business, but it's like, it's not a silly
Yeah.
little business because this actually, if you hold the vision that you have for yourself, this
Hmm.
could be an empire for you. So and really holding on to that like attitude makes sense that I trademarked it straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That's been a lesson, because I'm now like, wait, I need to go trademark. I need to go get that sorted. Me after this at like 12 a.m. like, oh, let me find a trademark.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I am no lawyer at all. I'm not giving legal
Yeah.
advice in the slightest. But like I can recommend, like I would tell all of my clients to go and
Mm,
trademark their business, and make
mm,
sure that you protect yourself. Because again,
yeah.
if you know and that if you know that you are just destined for greatness, and you know that you're destined for something really, really, really big, well, that just makes sense to cover your own butt.
Yeah. And that's a lesson in itself. Like, protect yourself, protect your assets,
Mhm.
protect your business, like in whatever realm you're in. Make sure you're putting yourself first and protecting future you. Because even if current you doesn't fully believe in it or back yourself or whatever, if
Mhm.
you think future you might, which future you probably will, then protect that version of you, even if you're not 100% convicted in it right now, because you will be grateful for it. How many times can you imagine, like, you've done something to protect yourself and it could have come back to bite you, but actually you put that provision in and you're quote unquote safe. It's just so worth doing in whatever it is that you're thinking, like, okay, this is sparking an idea for me now. I need to go protect this thing for myself. Definitely go do it.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
Big lesson. But like on the coaching industry and stuff, and on your transition from this previous version to now Emform, I'd love to know like what your biggest lessons and takeaways are from the fitness industry and being in that realm, and what you think the coaching industry can learn from that space, or in a good way or in a bad way, or like just what you're really feeling with that.
I think something that I like really learned from the fitness industry that I have been able to take into the industry that I'm in at the moment is like the fitness industry. Like I was saying earlier, 7 years ago, I was talking with women how to become skinny. Like that literally
Mm,
was like a conversation. Women would come to me and they're like, "Hey, I just want to lose body fat. I want to be skinny." And that was like the
yeah,
biggest thing that we would speak about. And,
yeah,
me 7 years ago trying to explain to them, like, even something that I didn't really like, that was what was in, and that was like, we didn't know anything more. We didn't know anything more. So something that I like had learned throughout my course was like, strong, being strong, and like actually, really learning how to strength train and like use resistance and things like that was like something that people weren't talking about. We
yeah,
were doing like 6-week shreds and like things like that. So
yeah,
what was like interesting that I learned from the fitness industry moving into this industry is like, whatever your beliefs are, like this is going to sound a bit woo woo or whatever, but like whatever your beliefs are, if you believe them, like actually continue to talk about them and like continue to share them. Because again, it's like now a conversation, well, 2 years ago, a conversation that I would have had with a fitness client was like, "Hey, how can I get stronger? I want to get stronger. I want to like
mm,
feel strong, and I like want to look strong." And like that, they were conversations that I was having with my clients. And it's like, wow, the evolution that the fitness industry teaches us is like, we are going to evolve, and the industry as a whole will evolve. And that's the coolest part. So like, not necessarily staying stuck on one thing that you learned 7 years ago, but like learning
yeah,
how to evolve with that. I think that that's the biggest thing, or one of the major things that I've learned in the fitness industry is like that what I once believed was like, all right, let's go low calories, let's go like cardio bunny, let's go low really high reps, things like that. And learning more and educating myself and being in rooms where I was learning things that, from people that maybe are in the position that I want to be in and things like that, that taught me, okay, cool. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to teach women how to be strong. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. And
mm,
so if I was like, no, like this is what this is what I've learned. I learned that it's low calories, it's high reps, etc. And I didn't choose to like evolve with the industry. And I'm not meaning necessarily going with the industry, but it's like if I didn't learn to just like actually allow evolution to happen in my industry, well,
mm,
I wouldn't have seen the success that I saw in my fitness in my fitness business,
yeah, yeah. I think there's two things there. Like, one, never stop learning. I'm a very big advocate for learning and education and like just continually being on that path. And then the other side of that is like don't shame yourself for what you didn't know at the time. So if you were someone
Mhm.
that was on the bikini body trends, and literally remember, because this was my teenhood, um, it was bikini bodies and abs, and then the
Mm.
whole like trend and phase and craze was glutes, and then it was resistance training, weight training, getting strong, and now it's like a combination of all of those kind of things, but in,
Yeah.
I would say, a much healthier way for the most part. um but when I was 14 and I was holding planks for 3 minutes on my bedroom floor, trying to be the skinny version of me at 14, not that I
Mhm.
really should have been doing that because it just shouldn't be my focus. Like, at that point, that was all I had the knowledge with. That was all I really knew. That was what I thought was the right thing to do.
Mm.
Now, would you catch me doing 3 minute planks on my bedroom floor? Probably not. Not to try and build a set of abs to show off at school. Do you know what I mean? Like, um, but I only knew what I knew then, and I have the access to the knowledge now, and I'm learning better, and I'm doing better for myself simply because I want to be
Mm.
healthier. I want to be the best version of me. And I can't sit there and shame myself for the things I did years ago
Mm.
with the knowledge that I had. So if you are someone that's listening thinking, oh, I did that, or I taught on those things, or I was a speaker in that space, or I believed this and I told other people these kind of things,
Mm.
then you only knew what was the current topic of conversation, the education you had available to you at that point, and
Mhm.
existing in shame is just never the way forward.
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm. Okay, I'm thinking with like this topic of education, I feel like you have this empire and realm of education, and I really kind of want to touch into it quickly. um what is your like biggest topic of knowledge that you're like, if you take nothing else away, I think you should educate yourself in this space? Like, what would be that thing, whether it's regulation or your mindset or learning how to learn better, like fitness, whatever it is? Like, what would be your thing? You're like, focus on this first.
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting one because I want to go to like 17 different things. It's like this,
Mm,
all of these things that like, you know, I want you to kind of choose. But I think like 100% is your mindset. There is so much when it comes to your mindset. I think that, you know, for me, a lot of it is about like building emotional intelligence and like really even just like having that tenacity and like resilience and grit and like learning, you know, that not everyone, I think the biggest thing probably is like, yeah, working on that mindset of just like
mm,
not everything means something about you and like keep going. You know, like it's like
mm,
this is just like that is just so one of the things that I would just like first and foremost start working on, you know, like that is over the last like 2.5 years of continuing to work on my personal development. I want to kind of broaden it to personal development because it's not simply just mindset. It's like
yeah,
developing who you are as a person. And like, I think that that is, it's different modalities and
yeah,
it's working on your health and working on your wellness and working on your mental health and working on your physical health and working on your mindset and like there's just so much to do with your personal development. I know that can feel really overwhelming, but it's not, you know,
yeah,
and it can just be starting so small by like actually becoming more in tune with who you are and like becoming more in tune with like what it is that you want to do. And I'm not meaning in your life, but just like who you are as a human. I think that I've been
mm,
on such a journey over the last, like, honestly, even majorly this year. Like, this year has been super pivotal for me in terms of just like finding out who I was. At the start of the year, I was like, I don't know anything that I like. Like, I only know that I love my business. I only know that I'm passionate about helping women. That
mm,
was literally all I knew about myself. I'm like, don't like to do this, nah, don't like to do that. Like, I'd convinced myself that I was like, I only do that for like, let's say my partner surfs. I only go to the beach and like watch him surf because I like support him. It's like there was always those
yeah,
moments of like I don't, you know, I don't like going to the beach, but like that's a lie. It was just that I was like so convinced that I had nothing. I didn't know who I was, and so I was
yeah,
like on this journey all year, really like figuring out who I was, and that took time, and that really just like took moments of stillness and like really just like
Mm.
working on who I was. I think that yeah, long story short, that is
No,
literally like
yeah.
what I would be really working on if I was like in that place of just like what what could I do to really like develop as a person?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's huge because I think we also forget, like, I think because we're in this space and stuff, and I'm not saying you do, but I definitely do. Um, I forget that other people don't really know where to start because at one point I didn't know where to start. I had no idea. I kind of just took the first thing that was offered to me and said, "Oh, I'll do this, I guess." And
Yeah.
it can be helpful, I think, when we just kind of put a pin on the map and say, maybe start here and the rest will
Mm,
begin to unravel. And I think personal development is a great place to put that because even if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're in the realm, you're on the journey of
mm.
personal development in some way, shape, or form. And just keeping on this journey is going to lead you to some pretty cool places.
And there's just, you know, choose your people who you consume from that really make sense for you. And like choose to work with people. And I'm like even just talking about like I have a healer that I go to her house and I go and I speak to her and like she's like, you know, a 50 something year old woman and that for me is like worth everything. You know, I'm not just
Mm,
necessarily talking about the online coaching world. It's like there is so much out there that you can really start to learn about yourself with other humans and yourself and podcasts and like free things, free value, free content, you know, that you can really start to like unravel a few things and just like start to get curious about like, oh, what would that mean if I did this? Or like, oh, what do I like? It's like if I was to ask a random down the street, like, what do you like doing? Or what do you know, what do you like to do? So many people come back with the answer of like, I don't know. I don't like nothing
yeah.
really. And it's like we're so stuck in this like revolving door of just like settling, of just like, I don't know. We just wake up, we go to work, we might
Mm-hmm.
like work out, like come home, kiss our partner, and like go to bed. You know, like that is
Yeah.
essentially like a lot of people's kind of like revolving door moments. And it's not until honestly a lot of people step into that personal development world to look at, oh my gosh, like there
Mm-hmm.
is so much more out there. Like there is so much more passion to be felt and like fulfillment to be felt and
Yeah.
so many things, you know. And I think that that is like the biggest thing is like this fucking statement of just like being fearless, you know, being fearless and
Mm-hmm.
just like trying something new and like testing something out and being okay being seen as trying, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But even like, oh, I felt that here when you said that out, there's so much more passion divine and things like that. I'm like, oh, there is. Because I existed in a place for so long where it was, I could only describe my world as like the weather in England right now, which is mute grey. You wake up and it's grey, you go to sleep and it's grey. Like there's no sun. It's like a cloud completely covered. And that's how I existed for so long. And I found it really
Mm,
hard to find joy in anything, found it really hard to feel happiness or pleasure in any kind of sense. And it wasn't until I stepped in my personal development world, even at the very beginning, that I started being drip
mm.
fed this pleasure and this happiness and this passion that I was like, I need more of that. But I didn't know it was there until I started. Um, but yeah, that just made me feel something. So I just wanted to share that quickly.
I also think like, you know, this is going to sound very, very, very broad, but like go and live your life. Like that is
Mm,
so often we just like feel, for me anyway, I'm only going to speak for myself, but like I just remember feeling like this chase of like the next thing, the next client, the next this, the next that, like the next paycheck, whatever it is, like this constant chase. And it's like you
mm,
get to a point where you're just sick of the chase and you're sick of just like this constant feeling. And this isn't to, you know, this is all aside to actually the drive and the passion that you have towards like getting to something, whether it be in your business, whether it be in your personal life, whatever it is. But it's like this chase that's like not productive. It's an unproductive chase of just like not living your
mm.
life because like, yeah, you're not feeling fulfilled and like you're not willing to try new things, but that is the juice, you know, that the juice is to just
Yeah.
like, and again it's just so broad, but it's like go and live your life, like
Yeah.
go and do things, share a coffee with someone, go and say hello to someone down the street, like when you're on your walk, spark up a conversation with someone, like it's just, I have
Mm.
learnt so much by having conversations with other random people that have have no idea what I would do, have literally no idea, but like you just learn so much, and you just like,
Mm.
living is just like the best fucking thing when you actually choose to live.
For sure. And I've had another thought that you've taught me actually, as you were saying that, about just going out and like talking to people. You taught me to just smile and be kind in the way that I would want other people to be kind to me. I remember as a voice note, I think. Um, and you said you're looking for these people around you to act in the way that you would like to be treated and the way that you want to draw people in. But are you even smiling at someone walking down the street? Are you saying thank you when someone hands you a bag with all your shopping in it? Like, are you being the version of the person you're trying to attract, whether that's romantically or in your businesses or whatever? Like, are you being that person first? And I was like, oh, that hits because I'm not. And just by you
Yeah.
saying that sentence of, are you smiling down the street? Like I was actively scowling, like, stay away from me. No one come near me. No one mess with me. And to a certain element as a woman, like, obviously be safe in the moments you need to be safe. But like,
For sure.
I was just being moody and angry for no reason other than like, it was a defense mechanism. I just resorted back to what was the preset mode. But now walking down the street and smiling, saying good morning to people, being a better version of myself for no other reason than it just makes me feel good. I notice other
Mm.
people smile back at me. I notice other people saying good morning and saying thank you back and saying please and moving out of my way if they need to, or at me and the reverse. Like, there's so much joy to be found in the little moments, and we do forget that when we're sat at a laptop in a dull office typing at our
Mm-hmm.
screens. And it's not to say that
Mm-hmm.
our work isn't important, but our happiness is more important and our joy for life is more important.
100%. Like literally the biggest learning I've had is like my business is not more important than my physical or mental health. Like literally. Like
Mm.
and that is someone who like, you know, is building this like big thing, and it's like, but my mental and my physical health, it isn't as important as that. And if it at any point changes that my mental and physical health aren't coping or aren't above my business, then I will pull out. You know, like I want out, because I think that so often it's like we really do, like you were saying, it's like we want to be a magnet for like these amazing opportunities, when we want to like bring in these like amazing people into our world, and like other opportunities, again, whether whatever, life, love, career, money, whatever it is.
Mm.
But yet we close ourselves off, and then we like, and I'm kind of like, you know, broadening this, but like we then tend to play victim to like, no one gives me opportunities, you know, no one smiles at me,
Huge.
no one even looks
Mm.
at me, you know what I mean? And it's like, well, okay, I like holding you in that, but also at the same time, can you actually start to, just like we were speaking about, like, can you start to speak back? Can you start to speak to someone? It's like, even as an example, is I went into this like clothing boutique, and I came out being hired by her, but what
Mm-hmm.
had to happen, right? Like she could have been like, "Hey, how are you?" And I could have been like, "Good, thanks, just looking," and like
Yeah.
fucking put my, you know, put my clothes back on and like
Yeah.
get out of there. Or I could have been like, "I'm good, thanks, how are you?" And like I'm, you know, it comes down to this moment of like, I'm okay if she's like, "Do you need a hand?" It's like, "No, thank you." But like, how are you? How was your day? What are you up to? Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
such an amazing, I love this shop. This is so beautiful. And like, I'm not saying everyone needs to be like, you don't need to be extroverted to do this. And like, that is
Yeah.
something that I think a lot of people hold on to. I'm an introvert. And it's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I am part of it. I am part introvert too.
Yeah.
You know, like I am part introvert. So it's not as if we can kind of like hold on to this, like, oh, that's for extroverted people.
Yeah.
It's not. You know, and again, don't play
No.
victim to that. Don't fall victim to that, because you, whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, someone who's quiet, someone who's really loud, like you can create opportunities in your world and in your life, whether that be just happiness, whether that be fulfillment, passion, love, whatever, by actually just like allowing that, opening yourself up to that. But that comes with you taking action first, in my opinion. Like,
Mm.
stop waiting and start doing.
For sure. Yeah. And it's so powerful as well when you do take that first step into action and you feel the rewards in whatever way. It's like, I see now. And it's really hard to see it when you're not doing it. But as soon as you take that first step and that first action and you see the reward, I don't want to say it's addicting, but it's addicting because like you're like, I just want more of this feeling. I just want more passion. I just want more energy. I just want more kindness in my life. I want more magnetism and attraction and things like this. So yeah. Uh there's so much to be
Yeah.
had by just being a kind person and by being a generous person.
Yeah, totally. And like that's it. It's like that's enough fulfillment for me that I like can smile for someone down the street and like that has potentially made their day, you know? And like that
Mm,
is so fucking cool that I get to do that for someone and have nothing in return. I don't get anything in return. But the pure fact that I genuinely want to give, and it's also a moment of like when the time comes that you are able to receive, you know? So like it's just
mm,
this like push and pull of the universe in my opinion. And I think as well we just we need to allow ourselves to get out there a little bit more and like go after certain things that we want in our life, and that requires discomfort, that requires being uncomfortable. And like I maybe for you, Alex, like when I first said that, it's like that would have been uncomfortable for you to smile to someone. Like that's different
mm.
for you. It's something you hadn't experienced before. So fair enough
Yeah.
that like it's like, oh, like I don't want to, or like what's that going to do for me, or like how, like like it's just something that's so uncomfortable to you. It doesn't mean you're not gonna do it, but it's just like there's something about it that is just in your discomfort. But that is
Mm.
where we grow. That is where we learn.
Yeah.
That is where we evolve into being the next evolution of ourselves, in my opinion, anyway.
Oh, for sure. The growth is always in the discomfort, I feel. I don't know clearly a time that I could point out and say I was completely in my comfort zone and I grew 10x. I don't think I
Never.
could point that out in any area of my life. Um, Even in the places I'm good at, I had to be uncomfortable first. Even having people on my podcast and having guests, that's discomfort because it's outside of the norm for me. But it's where all of my growth is happening. It's where I'm developing all of my skills. It's where I'm creating the evidence for myself to say that I can do this, even if it's scary, even if it's hard. All of your growth is in the discomfort. And if even that discomfort is 5%, 3%, 2%, 1%, imagine the growth that is there compounding, where if you were staying in your comfort zone and you were just comfortable all the time, what growth is to be had? Zero.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is where we find that revolving door of just like complacency, like kind of just like
Mm,
sitting and just like hoping that the world's going to change for you. And it's not, like we have to be able to take matters into our own hands. That's something that I just live by. I'm just like, cool, like I am just going to do this thing and I'm going to try. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be scary or it's going to be uncomfortable or whatever it is, but I'm just like willing to try it.
mm. Yeah. And as humans, we have a very large capacity for this discomfort. We have a very large capacity for pain and suffering because we're existing in a world where it's happening all around us. But we still have to find the moments to grow and expand and find joy ourselves because otherwise, what's the point? And you can get very better on that and like, what is the point in the whole thing? But we have this tremendous capacity for all of the quote unquote negative stuff. But actually, how many things can we learn in that? How much generosity and kindness and love can we express in those dark moments? And I don't think there's a limit to how much love you can offer the world in whatever small or big way. And
Mm,
I think even for us now, this is an expression of love for us. Even though it's
mm,
discomfort for me having a guest on my podcast and things, I'm expressing love and
mm,
care and kindness and generosity to everyone listening to this because I want you to grow. I want you to find your self development path. I want you to find your passion and your purpose and the things that drive you. This is all an expression of love, like liking people's posts and stuff, even though it's like the really tiniest thing. If you know someone's worked hard on that thing, or you really like what they're putting out into the world, you really like the photo they took on that random Wednesday and you like it,
mm,
you're putting out that tiny expression of love. But you can compound that so that you're putting it out enough that you're actually feeling it and receiving it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. I think, like I said, it's like, can you do things that don't require something in return, and can you actually
Mm,
just truly give from a place of love rather than it needing a return? Like, hey, well, I did this for you. Can you do this for me? And expecting, we have a
yeah,
high expectation of like, if I do that for someone, they will do that for me. And that's not true. And people get
yeah.
disappointed when it's not reciprocated. But I don't get
Mm,
disappointed because I don't do it from a place of like, but I did that for you. You need to do that for me. And I think
yeah.
that's just something that I have grown to learn over time,
Mhm.
because I used to have this expectation of people, but I would go above and beyond for you and I would bend over backwards. But it's like, why are you doing it then? Because like that's the thing. And someone actually
Mm,
said to me, it was like, honestly, like I think it was my partner, to be fair. Like he was like, I didn't ask you to do this. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
I was like, how dare
How
you? This
dare
is
you?
like exactly, like, you are the worst. But it was like in that moment, I learned, I was like, you're so right. You're
Yeah.
so right. You didn't ask me to do that, but I did it because I wanted to be able to expect something from you. And it was
Yeah.
like, that was the interesting, like, catalyst to even just like me and my partner growing, because I was like, oh, I do things now because I love you. And I do things because I care
Mm,
for you and I want the best for you and I want to support you. I don't do them so that I can be like, hey, do you remember that time that I did that one thing for you?
huge. And that's going to perk so many people's ears up because I feel like we all do that to some extent in some relationship, romantic, personal, otherwise.
Yeah.
Even in work, like you give with an expectation that it will be reciprocated in whatever the way it is you're expecting. And we could do a whole other podcast episode on like love and entitlement and
Mm.
expectations. But if that has perked your ears up, then just note now in this moment, where are you doing that? Where are you giving love with expectation? Where are you giving love with entitlement that you're going to get something back or that they're going to act a certain way because you've given love in the way that you deem fit? All this kind of thing. Let it spark some curiosity and ask yourself some questions and just be honest with it. And like, hold no judgment for yourself in the way that you have been doing this, but
Mm.
allow it to move the needle for you and move forward from that point and say,
Yeah.
from what I've discovered here, I'm no longer going to give my love to that person with expectation and entitlement that it's going to be given in the way that I want it and
Totally.
move
Do you know
forward.
the way that like totally, 100%. The way that I even look at this is like anyone that is in business, because I know there are some business girlies that listen to this, it's the same thing. Where do you expect to receive or to what's the expectation that you give out value? Let's say you give out valuable content, or you give out
Mm,
a podcast episode, or you're doing all of these things and the expectation is there, and it's
yeah.
disappointing, isn't it? Because you get disappointed that someone didn't DM you. You get disappointed that someone might not have bought from you. You're like, why do I do this? Because you love it. Because
Yeah.
you see that there is impact happening. You see that your mission is X and you continue to do that driven from that mission, rather than
Mm,
from the expectation of like, well, I deserve a client. I deserve to have someone. You do deserve that regardless. You
yeah.
deserve that because you are you, and you are on the mission that you're on, and the impact that you give and the transformation that you give others. That is, if you're an online service provider, or a service provider in
Mm,
general, that is why you do it. And so how can you remove the entitlement or the expectation that you need this in return? Rather, can you just continue to give, and can that compound into this success and the business and the life of your dreams eventually? But can you do it from
mm,
the place of love that we've just been speaking about?
yeah. And you not control the outcome because that's something I've been having to learn continuously that yes, it's compounding, but I can't control the outcome. I feel emotionally attached to the outcome. Yeah, of course, because I'm so invested and I love this so much and it's so important to me. However, I can't control what the outcome of this is. And therefore, let it go. It's not
Mm.
yours to control anymore. You've put it out there, absolutely perfect. You can keep pouring into it as much as you like. Whatever happens as a result of that is not yours to control. And that was a big
Mm-hmm.
lesson for me.
Yeah. And like, it's wasting energy, like amazing
Mm,
energy that you could be putting into saying hello to someone down the street, like we're holding on to this energy that we don't even get to control. It's the same thing with stress, like when you feel stressed, it's like, okay, what can you not control in your life right now that is super stressful? That's like something that I used to really speak on a lot. Is like, what can you not, like right now, the stress that you have, what can you not control? Let the fact that you can't control that go and allow it to just like be
Yeah.
rather than it consuming you, because you can't change it.
Yeah. I find when
And
I'm
whatever you
stressed, I
can
try and
change.
hold on to more. But that's such good advice. If you can't do anything about this, let it go. That's such good advice.
Don't you think as well, like, this is a bit of a tangent here, but like oftentimes I'll speak to clients and just like even like friends, you know, like they'll be
Mm,
so invested into someone else's life, and like they're like it's like they're so invested. Like, let's just say, oh, did you hear X, Y, and Z person, like friend from school, like 17 years ago, did this? And it's like, why
mm,
are we holding on to this, like that isn't like worth your energy right now to just like hold on to for sake of like making a conversation? What about making a conversation with someone about like something that's like really meaningful to you?
yeah.
Bit of a tangent.
Huge. No, huge. It's just so valuable because I think in your day to day, you don't hold these perspectives. It's not in your realm to think, where else can I be putting my energy? What's more beneficial for me in this moment? It's not really in the realm of most day to day people. It's not in their realm to think about these things. And I think giving these perspectives and like these little knowledge bombs and drops and everything, it's just so valuable because I wouldn't have thought about most of these things tonight had I not jumped on this podcast with you. So
Mm.
I love all of it. I love all of it. I love all of it. It's so good. But I kind of want to, unless you have anything else to add, I want to circle back to complacency and kind of even all of these topics of love and releasing expectations and everything, and discuss the fearless founder movement and what it really means to be a fearless founder in your perspective, because I think it's such a powerful notion and it can seem really scary even to call yourself fearless because you're like, oh, that's a big title. I don't know what to do with that one. Like, yeah, I
Mm.
want to dive into this fearless founder notion and really get into the juice of it.
Yeah. Thank you for like bringing this up, because this movement that I like have created is so much more than just like being a fearless founder, right? It's like, this is to be a fearless founder. It's not that you don't feel fear. You know, to be fearless is normally, like you said, this connotation or like this feeling of just like, great, well, I do have fear, so I'm not fearless. But
Mm,
what it actually is that you feel the fear and you continue to do it, right? You continue to take the leap, you continue to meet the edge, you continue to speak to that person, you continue to sit in that discomfort. And that is what is being a fearless founder to me. And this is why I have such a, you know, this is why I'm literally creating a global movement, because I want to work with the women that are choosing to take fear, or to take risks, excuse me, and to continue to meet their edges, even if they feel fear. It's like, those are the people
mm,
that I just like, I really, really want to work with. And it's not even about just me working with, but it's like, to be like, I want you to be a fearless founder. I want the next person to be a fearless founder. I want women to be really empowered to be, and to really hold on to the fact that they are fearless founders. So often I find this is why this movement became what it is because people discredit the fact that they take fear, excuse me, that they take risks and that they feel fear and they do things anyway. They meet edges, they get in like they sit in their discomfort and they choose to take the risk or the edge or the leap. And that is like, they discredit that. They discredit
yeah.
that. And like, I'm creating a movement where it's like, we celebrate that. That's what we're celebrating here. We celebrate the fact that you choose, you were scared, you know,
Yeah.
that you felt fear, that you didn't
Yeah.
know what was going to happen, what the outcome was going to be, that you tried something. That's
Mm,
you know, that's being fearless. That's being a fearless founder to me. And a lot of people are scared to be seen as trying, but that again is celebrated in the fearless founder movement. It's like, we're here to build big things, we're here to do big things, we're here to build empires, we're here to uh, create global movements, and to really, really like know our mission, and to find our mission, and to find our mission, and to find what we're put on this earth to do. We have to be fearless, and we have to choose to be that fearless founder. So that's kind of like how this all
mm,
became a thing. And I know even just speaking about my story before, it's like these are the like all of those things required risk. You know, all of those things that I chose
Yeah.
and tried, and Emily, lots of jobs that all took risk. And that is what's become like what is becoming a fearless founder. And it's like, I want to be able to celebrate that with you amongst many, many, many women. So
Mm.
that is essentially like how this became a thing. And also like something that really, and Alex, I actually know you and I have spoken about this, but I don't want anyone to feel like they're alone in the entrepreneurial space or the business world. I think that often there are many a times that I felt very lonely in the entrepreneurial world, and
Mhm.
I know I'm not alone, and I know that there are many other people that come into my DMs and like speak to me, and they're just like, you know, this is fucking lonely. And it's like, well, yeah, like that it is, you know, and it can
Mm.
be, but I don't want it to be all the time. And I'm not saying that even by creating, you know, the fearless founder movement is like that. It's we just get to come together and we get to like really celebrate each other and hold each other in times where like business can be hard and it can feel a bit shit. And like this is where it's like we're not just like only over here, you know, like riding the waves of success. We're really over there as well, celebrating each other and holding each other in the times where like honestly the times where like it's almost like a rise from the ashes. It's like you're in that and you're in this like moment of just like, wow, this is heavy, this is hard, like this is a
Mm.
grind, this is whatever it is. But you know, I know I've got people around me and humans around me. And that again is just like another testament to what being a fearless founder is. It's like those times where it's hard, where it would be way easier to give up, where it would be, and honestly, like I feel myself getting emotional because like those times, and I just know those times when people want to give up and they just like want to just change, and like they want to go back to their familiar comfortable life, and they want to go back to like what was just like the bare minimum and the average and just like settling, because it's easier to do that, you know, it's
Mm.
so much easier to do that. And again, like tears are welling up in my eyes because I'm just like so
Mm.
passionate about it, because I just know that you're destined for so much more. And it takes to being that fearless founder of like times where it's hard, times where you feel lonely, times where you want to give up, times where you want to go back to that comfy life. But you know that there's like this internal pull that's like, hey, like I know you're made for more and I know you're destined for more, and you are. So that is essentially like what being a fearless founder really is to me.
You know, when some place just sounds like home. Fearless founder
Mhm.
sounds like home. And
Literally.
it's just amazing to me as well because I know from obviously being in your world for at least 18 months now,
Mhm.
um, this kind of passion you have and stuff, it's it's not just this like facade. It's not this front. It's not like a, oh yeah, Em talks about this and secretly she's like counting her dollars and like swimming in the pool, laughing at everyone. Like by no means. Em is so heart led and so passionate and so kind and generous and like I don't even know the words to put to it that the fearless founder space I just know is going to be such an expansive but safe place for people to really dive into these fears, let them go, transcend them, do the thing while still holding the fears because I've done it and I'm doing it. And I've been in that place where it feels so lonely. I currently am in a place where it feels quite lonely in business. I feel quite isolated in my physical realm. But as soon as I hop on online with the girls in the mastermind, in your spaces, in other coaches' spaces and things, I'm in a place where everyone understands me because they know these same feelings. They know that same loneliness. They know the grind. They know the joy and the highs and lows of all of this. And half of them aren't even in the same industry as me. They don't do the same careers. That like none of that matters. It's the fact that we are all so connected and passionate about living a life for ourselves and for nothing else, and for finding the passion and the joy and the love and the acceptance within each other, even if we don't have it in our physical realm. We offer that and we hold that in a space for each other. And yeah, I don't want to well up too because I'm going to. It's I'm just so passionate about it. Even if it's not my thing, like I feel like it's my thing, but it's not my thing. Fearless Founder is not my thing. And I'm like so passionate about this space and like this
But
movement and the kind of women that are already in it and are going to be in it. We just know. Like it's just one of those places.
100%. And this is the thing. It's like it is your thing. You know, like this is where it's like it's not it's not just my thing. It's like our thing. And
Mm,
I truly mean that, you know, from the bottom of my heart. It's like I'm not just creating something that is like, hey guys, like this is my thing. It's like, no, this is your home too. This is your, like, take
yeah.
your shoes off, sit on the couch, and like let's actually go. And this is where it's like this beautiful blend of, like you said, this expansion and like this activation of like, no, you're gonna go do the thing. Like, hear me
Mm,
out when I say you're going to do it, and this is how you're gonna do it. And there's also this moment of like having that safety of just like holding you, you know, like
yeah.
there's both. And that is something that I love to do. I love to be able to expand women, and I love to activate them and like tell my truth and be honest. And you know, Alex, I am as honest as they come. And like, if I feel like I need to tell someone something, or I need to tell the collective something, it's like, this is what actually, like, this is going to help you, even if I look like the bad guy in someone else's eyes, even if I look like, you know,
Mm,
I'm not the nice, sweet coach, mentor, etc. I
yeah.
know that it's actually going to benefit you. And that is my mission. I'm here to see you succeed. I'm here to for you to live out your dreams and to really like help you build the business, build the life of your dreams. So what that might look like is me being the bad guy, because I'm going to tell you something you probably don't want to hear right now. But
Yeah.
in the same breath is like having that safety to know it's like this is coming from such a place of love. Like there's such a, you know, there's people that just do it really well. There's so many women that I am so privileged to know and be in their spaces, that it's such a beautiful line between the very honest, like being okay with being the bad guy and not being something you want to hear right now, but knowing that it's
Mhm.
coming from such a place of love and wanting you to succeed.
For sure. Because I've been in all of those spaces essentially with you. I've had the point in time where I'm sobbing on a call and in my most vulnerable state, and everyone is holding me and loving me and encouraging me to just keep going because I'm going to uncover something here or whatever it is. I've been in the space where I'm kind of inadvertently hiding on a call and you're like, Alex, come on, step up to the plate. Uh, Tell me everything. And I'm like, okay. I've had your support 100%. I've had your guidance and like so much love from you and like so much honesty in the way that I'm like, if I need to pull myself to a higher standard here, I'm going to bring it to Em because she is going to hold me there. And yes, it's going to be safe, but also she's not going to let me slip in the way that I might if I'm not pulling myself up. Because I know, like, not to rely on you, but I know Em is definitely going to hold me to that. And it's going to be for the greater good of me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is so sweet. I love that.
I love this space.
My
I could
heart.
rave about it all day, to be honest. But I love this fearless founder movement. And I think it's so important because it's going to create a change in you, whether you realize it or not, to be in a space with these kind of women, to have this be your home and to take off your
Mhm.
shoes and jump on the sofa and have a cuddle and have a chat and think about your wildest dreams and actually make them happen all in the same space.
Mm.
It's it's going to be incredible and it's going to have such an impact in your life if you choose to participate. If you choose to invest your time, your money, your energy in whatever form you can in this
Mm.
space and with these people, you're going to feel the impact of it in ways that you can never imagine. And I can promise that because it's from experience.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said it. You said it.
So good. Are there any other parts of Fearless Founder you want to tell us about today?
I have a very, very exciting announcement coming that is going to really allow women in business, and just like, again, fearless founders to really come in to a space where like you it is going to be like home, and it's going to really feel like home. And again, like Alex said, like it's just simply just, you will be both held and actually like held accountable, you know, like that is
Mm,
actually what, and again, I'm not an accountability coach by any means. I attract self-led women regardless. Like that is actually just like I just simply I'm a magnet for it. But I think the biggest thing that I have, coming, which is just, I don't want to spill the beans yet, but I really encourage anyone that wants to kind of like know more and like want some insider access right now to either DM me on Instagram, or like comment on one of my posts, like whatever, just send me a message and I will get you in a VIP access to just like know more and more. But essentially it's going to be a really like a low ticket entry to be in my world and to really see the effects of the fearless founder movement, and just like for you to really come into this space to just like know that this is your place and your home, and you'll feel it straight away. Like that's just something I know to be true. You just feel it straight away, and it's not something you have to ease yourself into. You just simply feel home. So yeah, that is essentially like what I will say. What I would love to also speak about, Alex, and again, you're going to be the biggest advocate for this, but I have spaces and we are enrolling spaces at the moment for our Rich and Rebellious Mastermind. And this is coming in 2024, our second round. Alex has been in our first round. But this mastermind is essentially like the closest thing to close, like one-to-one private mentoring that you can get, and it's also with such a beautiful space of women. Like Alex, again, I know that you will be a testament to this. It's like the women that come into my world, and I just attract such powerhouse women, and with all different backgrounds, with all different unique in all different unique industries. And I think that is the coolest part, that I get to work with women all around the world that are from different industries, and they get such benefit out of my close proximity spaces. So my Rich and Rebellious Mastermind is literally the mastermind to be in, I dare say, in 2024. Like I genuinely claim that, because it is a space for you to grow, evolve, and be held in your like heal and like learn to just like really start to know yourself more and get to know yourself more. We go deeper and we change, and really reprogramming your beliefs and really allowing yourself to see yourself in a different light and step up. It's for the rebellious woman who is the rule breaker, who doesn't do life and certainly doesn't do business the way that she's been told, and doesn't want to. Maybe she does do it right now, but she knows she's just like, that's just not for her. And this is absolutely the space for you if you are a bit of a rule breaker and or want to become a rule breaker who's kind of done with that good girl conditioning. So if you are interested in joining us, it's this very limited spots. There's only 6 spots available, and there is an application process. So I'm sure, Alex, I'll give you all the details, and you can kind of just like post it or put it in the like show notes or whatever. But if you are interested in knowing more, please send me a DM. My DMs are open for anyone. Even if you just like have a question or want to start a conversation, my DMs are literally open for anyone. I don't necessarily have a boundary there in terms of no one's allowed to come in. But yeah, if you want to apply straight away and you're just like, from this conversation that this is just meant to be the space for you, you're ready to make money, you're ready to claim it all, you're ready to actually like live a really fulfilled life and like actually go after your dreams, this is the goddamn space for you. So please apply. I'd love to have a conversation with you and just get to know you more and get to know your business more. So if this is lighting you up, this is, I'm excited.
So exciting. Honestly, second that. Hell yeah. All of the things to say absolutely yes to this space, because it lights me up even just thinking about it. And to be honest, I'm going to do a whole separate episode about the mastermind, like on an individual level, because there have been so many lessons and so many highs and lows for me personally about this experience. Like not even what's happened inside it, but like what's happened to me outside of it and a part of being in that space and what it's forced me to confront and the things I've transcended and everything. And there's just so many that I can't possibly keep you on this call to tell you all of them. But you can listen to the individual episode to to get my little.
I'm so excited for that.
Yeah,
oh
so
my
exciting.
gosh.
But yeah, the Rich and Rebellious Mastermind, if you are already being sparked by this, it's definitely going to be the place for you, because it definitely was for me.
Yeah, amazing.
Love it. Okay, tell me something fun that you're doing right now. I want to know, what is the most joyful thing that you are getting involved in outside of work?
Okay, so no one really like I don't think many people know this. If you've been following me, I'm sure you do, but I love to DJ. And so I like even on the weekend on Saturday night, we just went around to my mate's place and we like I just DJ'd for them the whole time, literally the whole time.
Wow.
And like there were times that I was just like by myself and I was just DJing and they were like loving it over there. They were like, you know, just like dancing and talking. But
Mm.
like that is something that I just like find so joyful. And that is literally like the thing for me that I'm just like, this is so much fun. The vibe, the energy, everything about it. It's like I love that. And I want to like I'm gonna host. I'll be hosting a few retreats next year, and like I really, really want to just like get the decks out and just like have so much fun, you know?
Oh my God. I simply need to be there on that retreat just to experience the Emily Hazelwood DJ experience because that is going to be epic. I feel like I knew this, but like not on a very awareness level. Um, but I'm now thinking like this is your perfect hobby. If I had to pick a
It
hobby
makes
for
sense.
you, it just makes so much sense. I love this.
Yeah, like I don't think people are like surprised. Like what? Like you enjoy DJing?
Yeah.
It's like no, this is all. It's like okay, yeah, no, it does make sense. Yeah, I just like again, I just went and just did a course and it was amazing and I loved it. And the vibe that again, isn't it funny because like it all comes back to the purpose that I just know I'm here for is like to bring vibes. It's like that just
Mm,
brings such a vibe for people. And like they're just like,
yeah.
yes, like without that, it wouldn't be as fun. Or like without that, song or music or decks
Mm,
or whatever, like it wouldn't be the same vibe at a party or like at a, even a dinner. I'm like, let me get them out.
yeah. Honestly, if I was having a little dinner party and you were just there like banging decks, I'd be like, yeah,
Wouldn't it be
love
fun?
this. Me with my fork and knife just like swinging around.
It's so much
So
fun.
good.
I love it. I literally love it.
I'm gonna have to book onto one of these experiences to have this because wow, that is that is next level. I love that for you. It's so
You're
funny as well
coming
because
over.
like you have to be pretty connected to people, I think, to DJ. You have to be very connected to what the room is saying and like how people are
Mm.
moving and things like this. So for that to be your fun, it just yeah, it makes so much sense. I love that. So good.
I love it too.
So so good. Cool. Well, is there anything else happening in your world right now that we just need to let listeners know about? Because I'm gonna rave for you as and whenever I'm needed, because I love it. It's clearly my passion in life. So is there anything else that you've got going on that I can just be like, yes, stamp of approval, do it?
Yeah, I definitely like 2024 for us as a company is like realistically I wouldn't say necessarily there's a complete shift, but there's definitely a new era of Emform that is being birthed and it's being birthed at the moment. So I would love to say that there are certain things that are coming, but right now I can't spill the beans too much. Again, there is a membership coming, which is going to be the easiest way to get into my world and with other like-minded powerhouse women. So that is going to be like literally the thing that I would say get your little booty into. Um,
Mhm.
and then as well, depending on where you're really at with your business is where you would kind of find yourself next. So like I said, the mastermind is something that is like the baby, like my absolute baby. So I would definitely just say that is the next step. But in between now and then, there's going to be a lot of exciting things. For me in particular, it's no surprise to anyone, but like there's just going to be a lot more workshops, a lot more face-to-face events. There's going to be a lot more retreats. I just know the power of close proximity and I know the power of energy and frequency. And when you're in those rooms and in those circles, that it is just like that. I have so much evidence and proof to support how successful my clients have been because they've gotten themselves in rooms. So, and
Mhm.
in this world. So I am very excited. Please keep your eyes out for all of the workshops and events and like live retreats and things like that are coming. But again, there's so much going on and happening coming 2024. If you want like insider access, I would say get in the mastermind. That's the easiest way to like know what's coming up and like what's happening, as well as you get access to everything that comes in, any courses, any programs, etc., that come into my world. So there are some really exciting new programs coming, specifically becoming an embodied leader. I think that is like just such a big thing. But again, not spilling much more tea than that, but that is included when you come into the mastermind. So that's the most exciting part.
Amazing. So exciting. So, so exciting. And yeah,
Mm.
if you want to know any more about like thoughts on the mastermind from the other girls, I've got some other episodes either coming out or that are already out from the girls in the mastermind that have been guests on the podcast. We've touched on it a little bit there. You can find Em's details for everything in the show notes. They're all going to be there. So basically, follow Em on Instagram, turn on her post notifications, and never miss a day. You'll find out
Literally.
as it's released.
And like, how cool is it that you like this is this just not the coolest thing that there are 6 amazing women in this mastermind, and you are able to connect with them, and like that is just the coolest part. You have been able to interview women that you wouldn't have interviewed if you didn't get your little booty in the mastermind. I'm like, wow, that's just so cool. I love that. This is exactly why it pays to be in spaces that like in rooms where again you connect with other women. I think that's just like so powerful, Alex. So I love that.
Yeah. And the key thing there is just don't rob yourself of opportunities by never putting yourself in the room and never putting yourself in the experiences that are going to give you those kind of opportunities. Because, yeah, I never would have interviewed the girls, probably wouldn't have ever met them if I wasn't in this space. And it just makes me excited for how many other spaces there are going to be like that and how many more connections I'm going to get to make because I'm not robbing myself of opportunities. I'm actively creating them.
And that's what being a fearless founder is. It's like, get yourself in the room where you're the small fish or where you're scared to go. And like, you're scared, like, do I belong here? It's like, that's what being a fearless founder is. It's like, yeah, you do. And show up like that, you know?
Hell yeah, mic drop moment. Let's just sum it up right there. So good. That is like a very
Oh,
full circle moment. I love that.
that's just brilliant.
I love you.
Brilliant.
Thank
I
you for
love
coming
you.
on the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast. You have been a phenomenal guest. You have given so many points of wisdom, but also just like straight juice, straight value, straight greatness that everyone just needs to latch their teeth into and get the most out of and be curious and ask themselves questions and explore more of where their ears perked up, what activated you, what triggered you, what made you feel something, and just explore it. Get curious and really get adventurous with yourself and what's possible and become a fearless founder because it's gonna be the best place for you. I cannot advocate for that more. But thank you so much for coming on, and I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate your spaces, and I love you.
I love you so, so much. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome, and we have had a great time. So yeah, all of Em's notes and everything about the mastermind and everywhere you can find Em is going to be in the description. If you want to know what we got up to in the other calls with the other girls in the mastermind, make sure you're heading to Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever, and check all of the shows to see what you can get your lovely little teeth into next. Yeah, so grateful that you're here and that you've got to this point. I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Mwah!